Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. I was laughing in there because I was asking my producer, what exactly am I supposed to say? And for answer, he just plunked me on. Well, a very good morning to you. Well, my guest this morning is Chief Martin Onovo, a one-time presidential candidate, a petroleum engineer, and consequently a politician. That is consequent upon being a one-time presidential candidate. Thank you very much for coming on, Chief.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, a lot of Nigerians are happy. We've been debating a thing, a subject, a bill for what? Almost 2 decades now, 17 years. And then they went and passed, the Senate went and passed a part of it. I fear people think that it is almost uhuru, that the job is just about done. But, Chief, it is a part of the Petroleum Industry Bill, is it not? This which is called the Petrol Industry Governance Bill.
Let us start with what the PIB was supposed to be before we talk about what they have passed. The PIB was supposed to be one comprehensive, the key word is comprehensive, law that will govern the entire oil and gas sector in Nigeria. That is what it was envisioned to be. Because this was
an overarching bill.
Yes, that's exactly.
An overarching bill covering the entirety of the petroleum sector.
And what was it supposed to achieve? Why did you need that? The original thinking was that investors did not understand the petroleum industry of Nigeria. And that created some hesitation and delay with investment decisions. Because some of them...
But what is there to understand? I mean, Nigeria is not the first place we found petrol, we found oil. So people are used on the international oil circuit, unless different countries have different mixes for their petroleum.
If you invest in the US, for example, you pay your state taxes and your severance taxes. They are not the same in every state. Now, if you understand the mindset of international investors invest for security of investment and returns on investment. Those are their principal criteria. They also invest for their national interest, but that is not very clear or general because that's aligned with the political leaderships of their countries. Now, security, they have to do all the risk analysis before they invest their money. And that includes political risk and every type of risk analysis. That's number one. On the returns, they estimate their returns before they invest. And that's what every intelligent investor should do. Even you, Mr. Falari. Before you invest your money, I'm going to buy stock. Which stock? This stock. You should be able to estimate, maybe by their previous performance. Okay, if I invest ₦1 million in this stock, by next year, it's going to be worth 1.5. So that is how they make their investments. Because that is how they make their investments, before they make an investment, they study the fiscal regime. They look at the political environment. They look at the safety and security situation in that environment. These are their principal criteria for making decisions. I happen to have been...
sorry to interrupt you at that point, because Senate President Saraki was saying yesterday when he was announcing that, you know, with some sense of satisfaction that the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill that has now passed, he hoped that this would now encourage and attract investors to come. So he must have been mindful of all the things that you've just spoken about, and somehow must think that that which has been passed, by the way, only by the Senate, not yet by the House of Representatives, not yet assented to by the President. So we're still a far way away from it becoming law. That this was enough really to right some of those matters that you've just been talking about.
No. He needs to know what he has passed. First, he must understand that he's a medical doctor by training. So he needs to get the right advice. What he passed is what they called a Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, PIGF. Now, that's what they passed.
It's a part
of
the PIB.
Oh, yes.
By the way, what would you say it's like a 50, 60, 70% part?
It will be about 20%. Why will I say that? Because the Senate committee broke up the PIB into 5 or 6 parts. Mm-hmm. There's a fiscal regime part, mm-hmm. there's a revenue part, mm-hmm. there's a governance part, there's a tax part, there is a host community part.
Exactly. And that host community part is that one is a real cherry.
Exactly. That's one of the big things. But for the international communities, that will come under security.
Okay.
They look at fiscal regime, mm-hmm. and they look at tax. Mm-hmm. How much tax do we have to pay from the profits we make? Because what happens...
But you were saying, you were explaining why you think it is as small as just 20%.
Oh, yes, because I counted the parts.
Yes.
So if you have 5 or 6 parts and you passed 1 part, 1 out of 5 is 20%.
And do you think that, even though, as we say, it's far from becoming a law yet,
it will be less than 20%. You know why? Because the part they passed is the simplest. Mm-hmm. In fact, this part does not even need to be a part of the bill. This can be an administrative adjustment in reality.
But still, it is progress. If after 17 years, this is the first time we've got to the level of...
No, let's stop that, sir. Please. It has not helped this country. It will not help this country. That's why we talk about motion without movement. So when you call this kind of effort progress, I beg to disagree with you.
Who was the person that was...
Sorry, sir. Yes. What will I consider progress? Mm-hmm. Progress is when you solve a problem, or when you make real progress in solving a problem. What is this governance bill?
Even in part.
In the simplest terms, this governance bill is a bureaucratic adjustment of the organizational structure. That's what it is. And I hope it never gets assented to, because it is not going to help the country.
You think it is little more than a bureaucratic sort of dusting over?
Yeah, it's just like a TVC. TVC brings the organizational chart and adjusts it and says, okay, we have a news organization, we have an entertainment organization, we have what else does TV do?
You can go on.
Educational organization.
You're doing well.
So that's what they have done. They have looked at the industry. The principal public institutions that dominate the Nigerian petroleum industry are the NNPC, which is more like a national oil company, and the DPR, which is more like a regulatory. There are gray areas and but principally the DPR does mostly regulatory. The NNPC operates as a national petroleum company. So they have now created 3, renamed them. So you're going to print new letterheads. You're going to get a new organization structure for each one. Then maybe we appoint Folari GM, public affairs, or one of them. Is that the problem we set out to solve? Hello, sir.
Yeah, but Chief,
I don't want to take away from the problem we set out to solve with the PIB.
Yes, because but part of that problem is the very NNPC that you've mentioned. Too big, it needs to be broken up.
That's one side, and that is not one of the principal considerations for the PIB.
Big, powerful, and quite frankly, plagued by corruption.
So why don't you deal with the corruption instead of complaining about the size? That's by the way. I don't want us to go away from why did we need a PIB in the first place. The presidential advisors who came up with this idea more than 10 years ago, what was their justification? What did they tell the president that led to the president saying, okay, let us do this bill? They told the president that if we have a comprehensive one-stop law, investors can take it, look at it, make their economic investment analysis, and make their investment decisions. Instead of this clouded situation where they don't know the number of laws, where they don't know which one they will offend, and they never are able to determine the fiscal regime, the tax regime in which they will invest. And therefore, they cannot invest. Okay. Because they don't invest blindly. So you need to understand the original.
Yes.
Now, Could you not have solved that problem by a simple compilation?
Well, I mean...
Could you not have solved it by the principal problem? Yes, many people have said that the NNPC is too big, the NNPC is a problem. I don't agree with that, because we know what is wrong with the NNPC. And what is wrong with the NNPC is the political leadership, whether you like it or not. We are insiders. Okay. We know exactly what is wrong.
Okay. And well, just before I go to break, so that we'll come back and look at that. The PIB in itself, such as you have described, going back to in time, it was all about, and still is, all about overhauling the Nigerian petroleum sector. That very word overhauling, it probably is scaring a lot of people.
Overhauling is additional.
It's additional.
It's additional.
To reform.
No, it's additional.
To what?
You see, this thing
additional to what?
Additional to the principal objective, which I've told you, which is compile one comprehensive law that covers the industry.
Yes, and in the process, overhaul. As you said,
yes, of course. In the process,
overhaul.
Agreed, but that's not the principle. Okay. In the process, overhaul, yes.
Okay, stay with us, please. We'll go on a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll take your calls as well. Okay then, welcome back, and Nigeria's Petroleum Industry Bill in focus. Part of it has been, well, passed by the Senate, remains to go to the House of Representatives and ultimately landing on the President's desk for assent, if and when. But our expert in the House, Chief Onovo, Martin Onovo, has said that, look, it's a step in the right direction, but it's a small step in the sense that he wouldn't evaluate it at more than 20%, perhaps even maximum, perhaps even less. Maximum. Now, Chief, since this is one of those topics that are not, on everybody's lips, even though everybody knows how important it is, what is it really that has been so problematic about getting success on the passage of this bill? Just why? What's the big problem? Because everybody must want the results, the promised results of successfully executing this bill. So what do you think is the problem? Why the hankling? Why all this over the years?
It's very simple. Even in UI, they teach you that in policy making you must involve all stakeholders. So this is basic public admin standards. Because these stakeholders are the people who will have to deal with the policies you make.
And so these different stakeholders, sometimes they're diametrically opposite.
Excellent.
In what they...
For example, international oil companies and host governments. The host government wants to maximize its returns. The international oil company wants to maximize its return from the same basket. How can they work together? By agreeing. By agreeing. So it's the same thing.
And then the community part of it, which is a real...
No, I just wanted to talk about the economics before I come to that, because I want to go gradually so that it doesn't overcomplicate.
Please.
Now, taking it to the PIB. The PIB, there is historical host community stakeholding in the oil industry in Nigeria. Very significant, if not the principal factor. There is the international oil company factor, because that's the investor himself. That's the investor you're trying to attract. That's the investor you want to make investment here instead of Angola. Do you know what these people do? That's what they call ranking opportunities. They identify all their opportunities globally. I've worked for the world's largest energy company in the whole world. So I know what they do. This is what I was doing for them. They identify all the opportunities worldwide, and they evaluate all. And they choose, this is the juiciest. And that's where they invest. So you need to understand that.
Like any businessman.
Exactly.
Anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Whatever the sub-commodity.
If you don't understand that, then you can't play with them. So knowledge and sophistication is critical. You need to understand, okay.
Are you insinuating that over the decades, we don't have the brains to understand what you've just said?
No, it's not that we don't have the brains. It's that we have promoted nepotism and mediocrity.
Okay.
I'm not the first person to say it. It's all over the place.
Okay.
We have promoted nepotism and mediocrity.
Okay.
Oh, Folari's job has a very high pay. They pay him Folari 5 million a month. Then I must get it. I'm an engineer. I'm not a trained presenter. I'm a petroleum engineer. I must get Folari's job. It must be given to me. I'm going to talk to everybody and get the job. After all, my sister is the wife of the MD. And then I come and sit down here.
That kind of thing.
And then I come and sit down here and I can't do well. Imagine you and I playing for Super Eagles against Argentina. We will lose 50 to 150 goals to 0. That's what Nigeria does.
So this simplification is actually what you're saying is a snapshot.
No, it's clear.
It's a snapshot of the problems.
It's very clear. Even a former Speaker of the House of Reps said it now, that mediocrity has killed this country. The current Vice President said that if we don't emphasize excellence, how are we going to excel? The current Vice President. Oshibaju.
Yes, yes. Now, does this concern Nigerian investors, oil block owners, and all those kind of things?
No, it doesn't concern them now because their own is simple. I have a piece of paper given to me by a political leader whose name is Folari. He's my friend.
You seem to just decide that it is me that you're going to use for every example today. Let's depersonalize the conversation now.
Okay. Let us say my in-law. His name is Monday.
Okay.
He gives me a piece of paper, which is an oil block allocation. That's what it is. A piece of paper.
Yes.
It's 1 page.
Yes. And so you just rake home the money.
I just take the piece of paper.
Out.
I go to the investors. I say, "Are you interested in this block?" They say yes. I say, "Let's write an agreement."
So that's what some of the Nigerian so-called investors are, if not all.
In the oil, the ones with the oil block, tell me what they are doing. But that's it now. That's the whole concept of financial and technical partners.
So it looks like for those ones, there isn't too much of a problem.
There's a problem. There's a problem because the money they make is money that should come to the public too.
Yeah.
So there's a problem.
Yes, there is a problem. But from their point of view...
And then they also use it to finance elections. And then impose candidates that are incompetent.
But I was going to...
So it's a big problem.
I understand you. But I was going to say that the real business concerns, that matter about return on investment...
The real investors.
It's the real investors that have that headache.
Oh, yes.
Because these people will sell anyhow. Whether it comes down, it doesn't come down. Their own is to get their money.
There is one that is current now in the public domain, the Malabu case. That has gone to every court in this world.
Yes.
Because there's big money involved.
So we're trying to put the passage of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill in perspective. I
think we have done that. Maybe we can emphasize it.
Because there are people who are joyous that at last some progress is being made.
No, they need to understand that there was a problem that was identified, either rightly or wrongly. A problem was identified, and the PIB was supposed to solve that problem. So you succeed when the PIB solves that problem.
Yeah, so you can, from that...
You can't do an organizational adjustment and say you have succeeded.
Okay, so from this narrow definition, they can't really claim success. Since results is what counts.
Results. There's a problem you needed to solve. Will an organizational adjustment bring the investor? I just told you the criteria for investment.
If you're going to be as positive as you could be then, just for the sake of conversation, what good can the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill do to the sector, this tiny part that has been approved by the Senate?
I must not disown my personal bias to being very critical, because I don't like things going wrong. And that is why I am deliberately very critical. Find out what is wrong and correct it. In fact, that is in every management system. Find out what is wrong. Because in the management system, you have your procedures, which are preventive. You have your verifications, which are your monitoring and surveillance. Then you have your corrective. This part that they have passed, if it goes all the way through the House of Rep and gets presidential accent, which can only have political value, then it's a drawback to the country. Quote me.
Oh dear. Mr. Idris in Iyanokwaja, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Go right ahead, please. Maybe because I understand the thing is in 16 volumes. Maybe Mr. Idris was overwhelmed by the sheer size of the thing because we just dropped that call. That was just a joke.
So it's a setback. You know why? There's a cost of change. The cost of this change is going to be higher than any benefit. And that's why you have a management of change process.
I don't understand when you say the cost of this change. What change? The passage
the governance bill
of the governance bill
that adjusted the organizational.
Okay. Okay. That change is going to have a cost.
Oh, yes. Let us start with the simplest that anybody can understand. New organizations, new postings, new offices, new structures, new letterheads, new signposts, new... This adjustment, the cost of this adjustment, and it's just organizational.
It's not the most important.
No, there is no productive adjustment that has happened.
Okay.
It's organizational adjustment. That's what it's a governance bill.
Because the fiscal ones, those ones that the fiscal, the parts of the bill that are of fiscal in nature, that's what
the host community that led to the militancy.
Yes, and taxations.
Taxation.
So all of these are what are real, as our people say, the real cocoa.
Exactly. So, and that's why I said that the one they passed is the easiest one. That is the same thing as you come to TVC. You say, okay, instead of MD and DMD, we have MD, DMD, we have GGMs, we have... That's what they just did.
Okay, we'll go to a break. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll continue to take your calls when we come back. Okay, welcome back. We're trying to, wrap our head around the Petroleum Industry Bill. It's an overarching bill that takes care of the entire petroleum industry. The part that has been passed now, the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, there are those who say that it's little more really than an unbundling of NNPC, very much the way the electricity sector was unbundling. Would that be fairly accurate?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We had two major public institutions that oversaw the activities in the industry. Now they've made it 3. And 2 were in NNPC before, upstream and downstream. Public participation in the industry. Upstream and downstream were under the NNPC. So what they did now was create a downstream company, create an upstream company, and then rename a regulatory company.
So that's essentially what we have now.
Oh, yes. No, that's what they have proposed because it's not law now.
Well, yes. It's
not law.
Just by the
Senate.
It
has to pass the House of Rep.
And
it has to get presidential accent. And, and that's what I'm saying. It's very likely the House of Rep will pass it in solidarity, but I don't think the president should sign it. Unless he wants to score a cheap political point that I'm the one who signed the governance bill. But it will lead the industry backwards.
Okay, well, that's your take.
No, that's fact. Because I warned this country that unbundling power holding company will lead the country back. You people went ahead because it was sponsored propaganda.
Which people?
I'm coming. Nigerians. Hold on.
Are you not part?
Hold on.
Are you not part?
When I stood against it, I'm not part.
Okay.
When I stood against it.
Okay.
Then when they went to privatization, on this your platform, one caller said I'm a generator seller, that's why I was opposing privatization. See the mess. Because they have sectional parochial interest. They also suspect that you have sectional parochial interest. Nobody is fighting for Nigerian national interest. Go on, be very careful what I'm saying. Many Nigerians fight for either personal pecuniary interest or personal political interest or some other parochial or sectional interest. The Nigerian interest, who is standing for it? We are too few, and that's why the Nigerian interest always suffers. This same warning I'm putting here now, I put it against the unbundling of PHCN. On this platform, that was on a major national radio platform that I put that one. On this your platform, I put it up against the privatization of PHCN. One of your callers called in here and said I'm a generator seller.
Okay.
But because he doesn't understand the issue and is not humble to learn.
But Chief, small as it is, in your estimation, it's still part of it,
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we will have these different, because what they have done, I think, what the senators, the National Assembly has done, has been to sort of split this bill, this overarching bill up
that's what they've done.
To ease debate on it,
That's what they've done.
To speed up debate, and it's still speeding it up.
No, I think it's political. It's not to speed it up. Because if you're speeding it up, then
to speed up debate. To speed up debate.
No, it's not true. Because if you're, why do you need to speed up debate by splitting it and doing it in parts? How do you gain alignment between the different sections?
But
or are they independent of each other?
No, they're not.
Is the tax regime different from the fiscal regime?
But at the end of the day,
you must have one composite document that is aligned.
Which is what we're aiming at, and which we see.
Which is what you have subverted.
No.
By further breaking it up again. You wanted one document.
At the end of the day,
listen,
I'm guessing.
Use your words. You said overarching, which is correct.
Yes.
Now, you're not contradicting yourself, because now, instead of that overarching again, you're now taking bits. Where is the alignment?
All of which shall be under the PIB when it is eventually passed.
An aligned or a misaligned PIB. Did we not have laws? Petroleum Act is since 1969. We had oil and mineral statutory provision in 1956. What are you talking about? Have we been operating in a lawless regime? No. What we needed was a compilation and update kind of amendments.
Of all the related laws.
Yes, of all the related laws. Thank you. Thank you for using the right words. Of all the related laws. You could have done this administratively.
So why did we go this way?
We went this way because, I'm a politician. And there are downsides to everything. Politicians want to score political points. So we went this way to convince the public we are doing something so mystical and so revolutionary.
Okay. Mr. Abimbola from Kwara State. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Offa in Kwara State.
Yes, Offa in Kwara State.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we'd like to contribute to the program on TV.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Offa in Kwara State. It's quite sad that this country, we have a way of celebrating mediocrity, just like Chief Onovo said.
We're waiting. Did we lose him?
Yes.
Oh, no, you're still there.
Yes.
Okay, that's your point. You've made your point.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That we delight in celebrating mediocrity. I think that's
it's clear.
The fact that it left it so brief, he doesn't want anything to distract from that point.
I want to agree with him completely. And that's what's happening, because you cannot, in medicine, for example, can you treat without a proper diagnosis? And that's why I started by asking you, what was the original intention we wanted the PIB to solve? And you had the answer. Because you said we wanted an overarching, which is what it was.
To streamline the whole sector.
One composite law that governs the entire industry. That's what we wanted. Have we achieved that now by even going further to break the PIB again into bits and pass it into bits, in bits? When you pass it in bits, how are you sure that all the bits will be aligned?
Okay. Fair point. Mr. Yakub, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir.
Thank you for calling.
I think
the line wasn't very clear. What did you say?
I said good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I think Mr. Onova said it all, Tiviori. You see, we have to take our laws into our hand this time around. Because why am I saying that? The NEPA, so-called NEPA, they decentralized that time. They sold the NEPA and then they distribute the NEPA. Do you know that these people that bought PHCM, they are all politicians? I want to say, the Nigerian government still giving them money for us to sustain. What are we getting today? It's the truth that they want to get a political mark. See, if you see Dino talk today, please allow me to say this. Dino Milaya will tell.
That line wasn't as good as Yakub's lines usually are. For instance, that last thing he said, please allow me to say this, and then he said one word, and I didn't catch that word, and I'm sure it would have been, poignant.
Yeah, but very importantly, I have to agree with him, because you see, if you do the right things, you're going to get the right answers. But generally, we deliberately do the wrong things and then start expecting the right answers. And then we wonder why we didn't get the right answers. We have to be deliberately doing the right thing.
This is a very delicate area you're entering into. This matter about doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very delicate matter because most people do indeed know the right thing. But that's not the same thing as buckling down and setting about doing the right thing. They're two separate things.
Exactly.
And in Nigeria here, it might be more complex than in most other places. We've talked about the community, for instance, the community part of this PIB. That one is the hottest of all the potatoes.
Yeah, clearly.
But someone else wants to come on. Mr. Julius in Surulere, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Thank you for calling in, Mr. Julius.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Yes, my question for Engineer Nobu is, what does he have against the PIB bill that has been on for years? And this is the only group that has accepted to even look into it, and they have passed a first set of it.
Okay.
What does he have against it?
Okay.
At least we are moving in the right direction. I think after this, we can move to the next level.
Yes. No. Yes. Indeed, thank you very much, because that's a point that has been made already on the program, but he takes objection to it.
Maybe he wasn't listening from the beginning. Let me repeat them, or maybe I didn't repeat them serially. The first thing is that you wanted to solve a problem of uncertainty in the fiscal regime for investment. Mm-hmm. Have you solved it, sir? No. Second is that what you have done is a very expensive, this governance bill is a very expensive organizational adjustment. Do you need it? I don't think so. The key issues, this is the simplest part, an organizational adjustment. It's the simplest part.
Sorry to interrupt you, but when you say organizational adjustment, do we really need that? I think most people will imagine, given the alleged corruption going on in there, the alleged darkness going on in there, people would have thought, yes, we do need a reorganization so we can see a bit more clearly.
No, what you need is to stop the corruption.
Yeah, but you got to see first.
To see it, you have to be transparent. You don't need an organizational adjustment.
Oh, you think?
You make it transparent and you hold people accountable. If we go into that subject, it's a completely different topic. Because I've told you that the real problem with the NNPC, which you won't hear anywhere, you can only hear it from someone like me, is the political leadership, whether you like it or not.
Okay. Bello is calling in from Zaria. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, please, I just want to contribute this.
We'd like to hear from you.
You know, our problem in Nigeria is that we have always been identifying the problems. But I don't know, how do you solve these problems? We will call conferences, we will call symposiums, we will write article papers, I will itemize this problem. But the reality is, how do you solve the problem is my concern. We went and borrowed a spoil system that had been used in America and dumped over time. It has become our culture. So please, I don't know if Mr. Orobo will help us with a modality or a technique to solve this problem.
Yeah.
But mediocrity, ideally, is what is celebrating today in Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Bello. Did Mr. Bello say in there it's become character?
No, I think Mr. Bello has a very fundamental question. Yes. How do you solve the problem? It's from our analysis that you see the solution to the problem. Let me explain myself. Don't forget that I've told you that whatever has been wrong with NNPC is not the size. It is the political leadership. Because the NNPC corporate leadership is directed by the political leadership. Who is the chairman of the board of the NNPC? It's the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Who was the Minister of Petroleum Resources? Or who is the Minister of Petroleum Resources? It's General Buhari. So you need to understand that. When they're saying NNPC is a public entity. It's under the political leadership. I'm coming. You're not letting me answer their questions.
Okay.
In fact, we need to stop the phones because we have two critical questions.
Yeah, but you don't have all the time in the world. So, you know, for television, you got to put it into...
This last question and the previous question, we haven't answered them. Somebody asked me, what do you have against? I gave two. His call came in. Okay. We have to answer them. Otherwise, we don't answer the questions.
Yes, we can't answer them in depth.
Okay.
You know, that is the truth of the matter because we are hampered by time. For instance, Marvelous is called in now. And good morning, Marvelous. What would you like to say?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yogi.
Good morning, sir.
I really want to say that I really thank the Senate for passing the PID into law. Because, to be honest, the corruption in the NFTC, it is too much. It's even the engine room of corruption as a Kikozi. So I feel that the PID will regulate the corruption in the NNPC before. And I also feel that they should also look at the other aspects of the PID. But I just want to say for all that this is a good one for the Nigerian Senate and for Nigeria.
Okay, so kudos to the Senate. I think that's what he's saying.
Please, let me answer Bello's question.
Okay. But Chief, I understand, we've heard you very, very clearly, but there are those who are saying that the longest journey, you've got to take the first step.
These are the stories you told yourself in the power industry. Because as a country, we have accepted mediocrity and we have a mediocre performance. We have to first reject mediocrity when you're asking for solutions. We have to encourage excellence, like the Vice President said. This is not market stock. So, I've been in the industry since 1989.
So you don't, because the way you're sounding,
I am a player.
The way you're sounding.
I'm not an observer.
The way you're sounding, it's like you're giving the impression that the industry is made up of a bunch of incompetent folk or dishonest folk.
No, I said political leadership. Now, somebody tells you that a reorganization will solve corruption.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Take it to the bank if you believe that. Of course, I don't believe that. That's not correct. What will solve corruption is an anti-corruption strategy that will include a rejection of nepotism and mediocrity, because those are also parts of corruption.
Okay, let's go on another break and stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and my guest, Chief Onovo, he's an industry expert, he's also a politician, and we're looking at the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. Chief Onovo doesn't think very much of it beyond the part that it is a part of the whole overarching Petroleum Industry Bill, but it's not really, taking us home, just like the Nigerian workers' pay. It's not taking us home yet, in terms of where we need to be, right?
It will not even take you home. So it's not just that it's not taking you home. Because you are being optimistic that, okay, when the full process, we will get benefits. I'm not telling you that the first step I'm saying the first step you took is backward.
Okay, you say it's backward. Now, according to Martin Onovo, Bello's question.
Yes.
What
is the solution?
Is the solution.
Thank you. The first thing is, since you wanted a comprehensive law, why did you want a comprehensive law? You had different laws. A simple compilation would have solved 70% of your problem.
But don't you think
compilation?
But don't you think we have enough legal minds to advise so?
No, that's the mistake you make. The foundation of every society is the ethical ambience. That's what you build everything else on. You can be the smart, that's why you have evil genius. He's a genius, but he's evil. So if what I'm defending is my own vested interest, which a former CBN governor has complained about, people defending vested interest, then you don't expect me to use my ingenuity to give you the right answer.
Okay.
I'll use my ingenuity to give you the answer that
will also
defends my pecuniary interest.
Yes.
And that's why I told you that too many Nigerians are doing. They have taken positions with either groups or sections, and they are defending the interests of those groups at the expense of national interest. We don't have enough people defending the national interest. I just gave you an example of how expensive, if this governance bill is finally accented to. I've given you an example of how expensive it will be. I saw you when you blinked. When I was telling you the actual cost, naira cost, that you can invest in education. I'm saying that if you wanted an overarching law covering the entire petroleum industry, why didn't you compile the existing laws? Compilation.
So have you come back to that which we call in Nigeria the lack of political will to do the right thing?
No, the real thing is this vested interest that the former CBN governor talked about, the current Emir of Kano. Vested interest pursuing either selfish or sectional or group interest.
But isn't that to be expected?
No, you must mitigate it because otherwise it undermines national interest.
Exactly. So what I'm asking...
It must be mitigated. And who can mitigate it? It is political leadership.
You know how people have this proverb that no child, is given a teaspoon of honey and then he spits it out.
But teaspoon of honey, sometimes if you collect it without asking your mom, you get home and she finds out.
Okay, which is what this administration is all about, not business as usual. But how doable is that?
There are so many things you need to do right. First, you need to have your purpose clear. What are we trying to achieve? And that's what I'm telling people.
Better national interest.
Hold on. In this one now. Better national interest generally, yes. But in this one, in this Petroleum Industry Bill, because one of your callers who said he's clapping for them, said the Petroleum Industry Bill has been passed. He doesn't know it is the governance bill that has been passed, which is 1 out of 5 or 6 different sections of the bill. He doesn't know because his language shows that he doesn't know. And he's clapping and rejoicing. Now, information is power, and my people perish for lack of knowledge. The simplest way to have done this with minimal cost, it would achieve all your results because we also needed to amend some. But we would have achieved 70% because the principal objective of the PIB is not that we had no laws. It is that the laws were Pipeline Act, Oil Mineral Safety Act, Petroleum Act. There are many different laws for the industry. And you used the right word. You said we wanted an overarching law that covered the entire industry. That's what we wanted. And I'm saying simple compilation, compile.
Have you ever had an opportunity to talk with these guys in the National Assembly since this conversation started? Well, it's a debate, actually. Because experts must have approached them, or they must have been invited. Are
they authentic experts, or are they quacks?
No, I mean on the outside.
No, that's what I'm saying. Are they authentic experts, or are they quacks? Are they experts that represent vested interest, or are they experts that represent national interest? Oh. You see, we can be claiming...
So patriotic experts are a scarce commodity.
No. The political leadership seeks out who he wants. If the political leadership wants mediocres, it will seek out mediocres. If he wants... because don't forget, if you engage a consultant, you pay consultancy fees. So do you want to engage the consultant that has the right solution, or do you want to engage your brother-in-law to end the fees? Those are different things you need to understand.
Mazi Okoroafo, Inarochukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Yuri.
Thank you for calling in.
Of the season, sir. Good morning, our guests, the analysts. Sir, you see, I would like our National Assembly. Anything that has to do with petroleum, crude oil, name the business, it shouldn't waste time. Because we saw what is happening, what happened a few months back that has to do with Niger Delta. At the end of the day, thank God the federal government have addressed the situation. Now, nobody's talking about, because when you listen to address of this democracy day, everybody is making reference to Niger Delta, anything that has to do with petrol. We have to be very careful because we are talking about this bill. Now, we mentioned about the modular refinery that we're talking about. Now, what is happening? We have to look into all these things and make this to be fact so that Nigeria will come back to where it's supposed to be in those 70s and 80s and 90s. Delay is dangerous. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Indeed, thank you very much. Delay is dangerous.
Clearly now. Clearly, because already Pengassan has estimated that this delay in the PIB cost us over $200 billion in investments, not in cash lost, in investments. And that may not be unreasonable, because all you need to do is to trade the investment in the oil industry and see what happened to the trend, so you can see the difference.
But are you not encouraged, Chief Onovo, that I understand, I've heard your reservations.
Was I?
I've heard your reservations.
You're not letting me deliver the message. Now, let me answer you directly. Was I encouraged when you embodied PHCN? I was not. I went all over the place saying you are deceiving yourself.
So it's a deja vu now. This is
this is not it. This is expensive. That's what I have against it. Because somebody said, what do you have against it? This is expensive. And I have said cost of change, management of change process. And I have named some of the cost items. So, secondly, to finally finish the answer to Bello's question.
Yes.
A compilation would have given you one document, which is what we wanted.
Okay.
Now you could have now taken that document and amended it instead of taking the entire industry in one fell swoop to amend everything once.
So you have an administrative difference with those who conceived the actions they've just...
No, but they have reversed themselves by breaking it up.
Okay.
They wanted one, they now broke it up.
Let me take in our last caller, Mr. Apollo in Ikorodu. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Polan.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
And good morning to our idol, Nigeria. I've known this gentleman for quite a number of years, and he has been repeating most of these things said enough now. Uncle Yori, is it not possible, these so-called Abuja senators, to invite one of their committee members that signed this into law to come and sit with this gentleman side by side, so that we Nigerians that don't know much about these things, we know where we are going.
Yes.
Thank you, God bless.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for calling in. And, you know, I really appreciate that. It would be nice because clearly you've made no bones of the fact that you are critical. So it would be nice for those who passed it to, if only we could get them to sit down and answer point by point where they think you are wrong, if they do think that you are wrong. But what you said, for the reasons you've given for the past close to 1 hour, there's precious little to celebrate here. Is what you are saying. But there are other Nigerians who see it differently, that the first step has been taken, no matter how small.
When you take a wrong step, don't count it as a step.
I've explained your own now.
No, don't count a wrong step as a step.
But everybody else, not everybody is going to be on your side of the divide.
No, I'm not asking everybody to be on my side. I'm just saying we must be aware of what we're doing.
Okay.
And the cost of what we're doing.
And you think this is a misstep?
Clearly.
That's what you're saying.
Oh, very clearly.
But you also have to allow that there will be other Nigerians that don't see it that way.
No, I'm not saying they have to see it that way. I'm saying eventually we'll know who's right.
Well, thank you.
You can go and write rubbish in WAEC and say you got it right. When the results come, we know whether you failed or you passed.
Well, indeed. I want to thank you very much. Chief Martin Onovo, I want to thank you very much for giving us the benefit of your, shall I say, your perspective on this whole matter, because it's illuminating. For the reasons you have enumerated. Thank you very much. We'll wait because this is not something that can be done in 1 hour. You yourself said that if we had 5 hours, we wouldn't even scratch the surface. That's the nature of the subject. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate you always.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Chief Martin Onovo, petroleum engineer and politician. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.